The other day, a friend was telling me about his 4-year-old who's learning about R. The letter R, not the programming language. If you understood that joke, you're likely a data scientist. Today, I want to explore some of the things that data scientists have in common with 4-year-olds, and that is we have a lot to get done before bedtime. As a data scientist myself, the process of getting a model out is usually along the following steps. You start out with data. You have some data that's prepared or given to you by the business, and you have to do either some EDA on it, exploratory data analysis, or some feature engineering and prepping just to make sure it's ready. The next step is training, and this can be the fun part because you get to choose different models, research different models, but eventually you might have to fine-tune and make sure that it's ready for the next step, which is deployment. At the deployment stage, we're looking at putting this in front of customers or putting this in front of whatever endpoint that's going to receive it. And this might be an API or a front end. And finally, we always have to monitor. And we monitor just to see the efficacy of the model, make sure that the data drift isn't too much, or maybe the business needs might change, which usually kickstarts this process all over again. I learned about something called Kubeflow that can simplify and improve this whole process. So what is Kubeflow? Kubeflow is a tool that uses MLOps principles in data science. So whereas you used to do this process manually, step by step, a different one for each project, Kubeflow breaks this down into something called Kubeflow pipelines, KFP, abbreviated. And what is a Kubeflow pipeline? It looks something like this. Each step of the data science process can be broken out and simplified into individual logical blocks of operation. So first of all, we might have EDA take place in one block using a Jupyter notebook. The next step might be training, its own notebook, and then tuning, a notebook, or you might use a tool, and then finally deployment. The great thing about Kubeflow is that there's already a library of common data science protocols that you can plug in and just get ready to play. The great thing about each of these logical blocks is that they're portable. Once you have a block that runs, it can run anywhere and you can reuse it for different projects. The Kube part of Kubeflow indicates and implies that it uses Kubernetes, which is correct. Once this process is defined, you can run it on a local laptop or scale it up for a bigger training sequence. Another cool thing about Kubeflow is if you're familiar with MLOps, you're likely to have seen the YAMLs, a lot of YAMLs to define what each Kubernetes pod is doing. Kubeflow simplifies this by, first of all, introducing a Python SDK that you can define the same YAML in using Python, which you're probably more familiar with as a data scientist. So Kubeflow takes our sometimes disparate process of data science and streamlines it and creates a visual process for us to easily use and follow. Hope this helps with your understanding of Kubeflow. Thanks. If you want more relevant content for your 4-year-olds, like this video and subscribe. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below.